All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about it's a bit of a topic on how to focus and about and things that really helped me. So roughly a year ago, I got a sports psychologist, started working with one, and it's been super helpful. And I feel there's a few tidbits that I found in general really helped me. So I thought I'd share it with you guys, and hopefully, right, you guys can find those bits of like those bits of knowledge. Obviously, right, I'm not a psych, and this isn't medical advice, right? But these are just tricks that help me, and maybe you guys can relate to, and hopefully help you. On the note of focus, right, I had it on the bottom of the screen. You can watch Paolo Pizzo and Kazuyasu Minobe fence, and it was a pretty fun bout. So you can go find that out after if you want. So one of the first things I did, and this is something we do a lot, right, is I got a notebook and I write my thoughts in it. But I know like it's a very old school thing. Like a lot of us have really old school coaches, and they say, "Oh, you got to write down in a notebook. You gotta write stuff." But they don't they don't really say what you have to write. And sometimes without even a little bit of guidance on that, you're not sure what you should be writing. So for things with a notebook that really helped me, it's really right. You're just keeping a bit of a diary about your fencing almost. So what you can do to start off is document your practices. So what do I mean by document your practices, right? Was there a moment in your practice where you felt good? Start off by writing that down. And then maybe you can reverse engineering as to why that feeling felt good. Document also the lows, and then you can start reverse engineering eventually to how you were at those lows, and that's absolutely fine, right? So already there, one idea, and then what action were you practicing in that, right? So you can do this before or after. What action were you actually practicing in that practice, right? And then after that, from that action, you can say, what did I like about that action? But what's important is that you write it down because you need to go back and reflect on it, right? You can also write down, what could you have improved that practice? What did you like? What did you not like? Things like that. So beyond the actual writing stuff in your notebook, what's important is that after and before the next practice, you actually go back and reflect on what you wrote. Otherwise, yeah, it's there, but you're not reflecting much, right? So take 10 minutes, whatever, go back and look at those thoughts. Now, I really don't recommend that you do anything on your phone because the phone is it feels so detached, right? It has so many purposes. To me, like the notebook has that mental, like this is my notebook where I write my thoughts. Like it's my notebook of improvement. It has more meaning just my phone. My phone is just this thing that I use constantly. And it's a bit like, to me, it takes a bit out of the purpose. Something else that I think is how do you deal with stress? So that's, for me, that it was really hard to kind of decipher that. And a lot of times our mind likes to play tricks on us. So for me, the best way it was explained to me that worked is, let's say like when I was in Paris, right? In Paris, there's a lot of scammers or, a lot of all over the place. And a lot of these scams, you end up being able to avoid them the second you're aware of them, right? Whether it be like I tell you right before or even during, right? Or right before it happens or just almost during, right? Because I'm like, hey, watch out. If this person comes up to you, you just leave and this is what you do, right? And then you ignore them. The same thing kind of happened in your brain. So step one is, and it kind of goes back in hand with what we were doing before with the notebook, is you have to start acknowledging when you feel bad. And with that, what you do is now you're aware that you feel bad. And then what you do after that, you write it down, you figure it out, you're now aware why you feel bad. So now you go back to then you document it, then you can go back and now you're aware of that and you can actually just start a complete run-on sentence saying the exact same thing over and over, and that's okay. But then you can take your time and reflect, and then you can say, why did I feel bad, right? And when you see that, you can start developing a bit of a mechanism. So for me, right, when I'm feeling bad, typically, I will take my time to go back on guard. So what do I mean by that? Like I'll walk to the end, walk back, maybe tie my shoes. There's a lot of ways to take your time. What I recommend is when you're not in a good space, don't stay in that space. Don't just get back on guard. Take some time to learn yourself, right? Walk back, tie your shoe, what have you. If you have tighten your weapon. There's a lot of ways that you can save some time on the script and reflect real quick, okay? So this is kind of my way how I've dealt with stressful situations. And then with that, you actually end up feeling like once you overcome these situations, you can actually end up feeling really, really good, right? And then that is its own sense of accomplishment. So take your time. Don't get back on guard too fast. Acknowledge those feelings. Like you can't just be like, oh, I feel bad, whatever. Acknowledge that you don't feel good and work towards it. And I promise you, these are things where all of a sudden, like instead of like constantly losing 15-14s, you're constantly winning 15-14s. And now one last thing is I highly recommend, and something I did, talk to your coach, because then, and obviously this will sound obvious, but a lot of us, right, we just take our lessons, we leave, that's it. And one of the biggest things is, like for me personally, right, one of the coaches I had, he's a bit more like, very Russian style, and they're very hard on you. And at the end of the day, I was like, hey man, like when you do that, I actually kind of shut down. And then we actually bonded really close for it. And he said, oh, well, you know what? Like, I actually just really want you to win. And then that's how it comes out. And I really want you to do something. So I just say it on top of my lungs. And I said, well, you know what? Like, to me, that transcribes to anger. And then, we really went over that hill. And, like, I feel like I became a better person for it. So, yeah, 3 tips, right? Get a notebook, document and act on it. And just talk to your coach more. Like these guys, a lot of the coaches have been in the fencing game for so long, and it's just such a waste. Then if you have your own little tricks that you think might help, drop it down in the comment below, and then go find. I'm going to keep watching this Minobe Pizza bout because it's actually a super entertaining one. So I hope you guys find it. Thank you guys, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day.